Oh, snap. I'm starting it. I forgot. Welcome back to CineChix. I'm Christina.
And I'm Jen, and today we are talking about Malcolm and Marie, which was written and directed by Sam Levinson, starring John David Washington and Zendaya, which is available on Netflix. What'd you think?
Well, it was very tiring.
Yes,
That's what I think. It was very tiring and very toxic. I think that having it, whatever reason they decide to have it in black and white, it still had like depth to it, if that makes sense. So it was really, really nice to look at. But honestly, you need to be mentally and physically prepared to watch that movie. You feel like you're a part of that relationship and you're going through it and you're just like, man, I just want someone to just end this conversation right now. Like I can't take it. I physically can't take it, and I'm not involved. Some of the stuff that was being discussed was valid about people of color and how their movies are always viewed through a lens of politics and race instead of just, oh, they made a movie. It's like,
exactly.
Oh, that movie had this little thing in it for a half a second that has something to do with the way that they're oppressed in this country. And it's like, well, no, they just make a movie to make a movie, not always to have this like grandiose message. And the fact that, you know, critics specifically tend to put that on their content even if that's not how they meant it.
And that's what I loved, like how he said that about the Lego. He's like, maybe I just want to make a Lego movie.
Exactly.
The way that they went about it.
But yeah, I liked it. It was a good movie. I will never watch it again. It was just so stressful. And I want to watch it again because I felt like it was compelling, but it was just like, I don't know, maybe watching a second time and I know what like goes on and what's being said, maybe it won't be as tiring, but like when I watched it, I was like emotionally exhausted by the end, like by the middle actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever want to watch it again. It's so like to experience it once, but it's like, why would you want to re-experience such a toxic argument? It's one of those things that I feel like it was done really well. And it's really interesting because a lot of people are giving this like bad reviews. And I'm not sure what aspect they're coming at it, why they're not liking it, because I think it's one of those movies that it was done well. For all the other movies that have come out during the pandemic, this is definitely my favorite because it held my attention. It was done well. They didn't try to do something grandiose and like make it too big for the time that we're living in right now. And it also had nothing to do with the pandemic, which I really appreciated. The one thing about this movie that like I think people don't like is that it is very real, and maybe people don't think that other people have toxic relationships like this. I mean, it was very big and it was very toxic, and most people probably don't have relationships like this or arguments like this, but that's not to say that, you know, they don't exist. And I think that the way they went about the argument and how each person like had their moments of like calming down and then like getting back up, and I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I feel like when we were watching it, we were super invested the whole time, even though we were, you know, getting mad at them for continuing the argument or for saying the things that they were saying. Or why are they still drinking whenever it's like 3 a.m. and they're in the middle of an argument? Like, just go to bed. It's fine. Definitely not rooting for this relationship because they both had like their issues.
Oh, no.
And, you know, this is one of those relationships that these people should not be together. I enjoyed the movie. I'm never going to watch it again, but I think that they did a great job doing it. And I agree. I really liked the black and white. And I feel like they may have done it for budget reasons, as well as trying to get it out in time. But I think it added to the mood of it and the Hollywood. They talked about like all these old Hollywood movies. So I feel like maybe they also decided to do it for that reason. One thing that I thought was really cool about this movie was at the beginning when they get back from the premiere, there's this really long scene where he's just talking about the premiere and talking about him being a writer-director. And the scene is going back and forth in the living room. And the whole thing was a one take. And it took me about like a minute to realize that this whole thing was one take. And the way that they did it was really interesting instead of staying in one spot, because they could have just been standing there saying it the whole time. And there wasn't much space for them to go, but it was still interesting. And also, it was a little bit nauseating because of the way that it was going back and forth. And I don't know, we had mentioned like maybe it was a conscious thing because they had been drinking, and maybe it was adding to that effect. I'm not sure if that was a conscious decision on their part or if we just took it that way because it was a little bit nauseating of going back and forth.
I feel like also some of the criticism that I've seen is that about Sam Levinson's writing and how he doesn't write like how normal people would talk to each other. And I don't think that was the point. It was like a character study done right.
Yeah.
Like even some development. They were stuck in that house and they even had like some character development.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't think like they're stuck in one location. I don't know what kind of conversation do you think that they could have that would be interesting and to move the story along. Like obviously, like we're not saying that people, well actually I'm not even saying people don't. Just because we don't doesn't mean there's no one out there in the world that wouldn't have a conversation like this.
Right. Another thing that I really liked about this, well, okay, not really like. Another thing about this movie, there's one part in this movie that I literally made Christina pause the movie because I was like, what the hell is happening? This movie just took a turn. I don't think I like it. I don't know why this happened. And then we pressed play and then I realized why the scene went the way that it did. And I want to know, like, if you've seen the movie, let me know what you thought about the scene after she comes out of the bathroom about the pills, because I couldn't handle it for a second, but then it made sense and I'm fine with it. That was about to be my only thing I didn't like about the movie, but they turned it around, so I'm fine with it. I really liked the way they did the music in this. I think they had really great music. I feel like it had meaning behind it. I mean, obviously the scene where she goes outside and plays that song for him, which I was like, damn, okay. But then the scene that they play at the end called Liberation.
Was it? Yeah, I think it's called Liberation.
Yeah. And for it to be called Liberation, what the song is about, I felt like even though the movie doesn't really give you an ending of, you know, what happens next, I feel like that song kind of lets you know that they're gonna not stay together. But you don't know. They don't say what's gonna happen. Yeah. So I really liked that, and I liked the usage of the music.
And I think that Zendaya, and it's Zendaya especially, I think she's proving herself to be quite an actress.
Yeah.
I especially that part that Jen was talking about that you get to, like the switch was so, like the fact that we believed that was the turn the movie was taking, and then like she did a phenomenal job. I think this is probably the most, well granted I haven't seen every single thing that John David Washington has been in, but from what I've seen movie wise, this is the most charisma I've seen from him.
I agree. That's what I told Steven. I was like, dude, I don't think that he has always been the strongest actor in the things that he's done, but this really showed his talent and showed his range, and I think that it definitely showed everybody, like, you know, he can actually act.
And he sounds like his dad a lot in this movie. He sounds like his dad a lot. Like, I've watched plenty of his other movies and I've never felt that way, but this movie specifically, I was like, man, he sounds like his dad.
So if you guys have seen it, let us know what you think in the comments. If you haven't seen it, I recommend go watching it on Netflix. Even if you're only gonna watch it once, it's worth a watch. Then come back and let us know what you thought of it. Be sure to like this video. Liking it really, really helps the algorithm more than anything. So like it and share it with your friends, and then comment on it. Even if you just say hi, then we'll say hi back, and that'll be cool. And if you also want, you know, click the little subscribe button and click the little bell so you're notified when we drop new videos.
Until next time, guys.
Bye.